Continuing, and we've got Mick Welding. Now, Mick, you were scheduled for last year. Unfortunately, something came up. You weren't able to make it, but we did get you in to talk about Morrison Community Hospital. So glad you can make it today because you guys are expanding again.
Yeah, here we go again, Gary. We just no sooner. It seems like some places in the hospital, the dust hasn't even quite settled yet, and we're going to start digging again. And we just the growth is there. The patients are coming in. We've added some additional doctors, and we need more room.
That is incredible. How long have you been with Morrison Community Hospital, Mick?
It'll be 12 years this August.
And how did that end up happening for you?
Well, I was working for another company, and my daughter had just graduated from nursing school, and she was looking for a position, and so she goes, "Dad, there's a marketing position open in Morrison Hospital, 2 blocks from my house, easy to get to." And so, no snow days, by the way, for me. I can make it there no matter what. But so I said, yeah, let's give it a shot, and see what happens. And at the time, Morrison used to be part of Mercy Hospital in Clinton, and they just decided to spin off and have the baby bird fly, out of the nest. And so that's the way we did it. And so Mercy used to do the marketing and everything else. That created an opening, and I got to jump in.
So, for them to break away, I would imagine there was probably a board of directors or some leadership to say, hey, let's do this. Let's go out on our own.
Yeah, and that board was very visionary, and they still are. They're almost all of them are intact still to this day, and they just decided that hey, we think we can make this fly. So, and I'm grateful myself, for having employment for the last 12 years in a really up and coming company.
Talk about some of your responsibilities, Mick.
Well, in marketing, I remember when I started, Gary, I had a physical done by a doctor, and after I did my physical, she quit. And I thought, is it that bad? I didn't know what happened, but she left, and so it left us with one nurse practitioner and a couple of docs coming over from Mercy, to do some colonoscopies and procedures like that. So back in those days, a marketing job was really pretty simple. You only have one person to promote. But gradually things begin to change. And so my primary job is to make sure that everybody knows that we've got the best providers, we've got the best specialty docs, and a great team. Everybody needs to know that.
And to get the word out, because there you are, Morrison, you're still the county seat in Whiteside County, but you've got Clinton, just to your east, Sterling, Rock Falls, Dixon, to your west. So, are you torn apart a little bit?
Well, primarily what we're just doing is great hospitals in both Clinton and Sterling, the Quad Cities, of course, So it's not like we're in competition. We're just working alongside. And so if there's a particular patient that they're not able to treat and they want to come to our hospital, come on over. If we have the ability to be able to meet a family's need, as a primary physicians, and I said, yeah, have them come on over. So, and that's worked out well.
I would imagine it's probably been somewhat satisfying for you since you got kind of started on the ground floor with these people at Morrison Community Hospital, and to experience the growth alongside them.
Yeah, we recently wrote a grant, and I had the opportunity to go back and do a little bit of research more in depth on the history of the hospital. And back in 1972, they did an expansion previously to the one that we just completed. And I had a brochure that somebody gave me, and they said that they were literally bursting at the seams. 4,000 patients a year were coming through the door. They had to expand. Well, 2 years ago, we had 58,000, So you see the difference, and you understand why you needed to add on. And doctors need to have office space as well as, and we need to have a clinic space, for people to be able to be seen. So it just kind of, and plus back then, Gary, we started out with just looking at doing an emergency room expansion because we only had 3 bays And that just wasn't cutting it. You know, we had more people coming in for emergent care. And so we just had to expand. And we had a feasibility study done, and they said, you really don't have an operating room, you know, for orthopedic surgery. And at the time, you know, of course, on the short side, you might say, we don't have an orthopedic surgeon. Well, you know, take the theme from, you know, the Field of Dreams to say, if you build it, they will come. And certainly it happened. So Dr. Foad came, and we had that. We built another one shortly after that. So, and now we have 17 doctors, you know, so you can just see what happens.
Talk about the recruitment to getting these doctors in, and I would imagine it's somewhat of a domino effect. I mean, you get one doctor, he knows somebody else, and it continues on.
Yeah, I remember when I was talking to Pam, my boss, and we thought, you know, what do? We hired a gentleman to do some recruiting for us, and all of a sudden we started getting, you call them CVs or, you know, resumes from doctors without any solicitation. And so we got one from Dr. Guarvi, you know, started, I remember, one of the first docs that I remember hiring. And she was finishing up a residency in Boston, and she wanted to come. Her family was they're from Chicago, and she wanted to come close to Chicago but not in the city. And so she says, I wanted to move to a town where I could make a difference, and she picked Morrison. And it's really continued like that, Gary. You know, we've had docs primarily contacting us. We don't have anybody recruiting for us. So the word is out. And in fact, the most recent one we just hired, Dr. Piragala, he was working out of his own office, a building that he owned. His wife is his receptionist, and he's a neurosurgeon, and he decided, hey, I want to come on board. And he knew Dr. Ahmad, who's our neurologist, and they want to work together because Dr. Ahmad can diagnose and Dr. Piragala can do surgery to correct, you know, so it's a good team.
Are you having a hard time finding your way around the hospital, Mick?
Well, you know, it's funny, we're doing remodeling again, Gary, and so right now it's a little bit of chaos, you know, controlled chaos, you might want to say, where people have to come into the hospital, and we have to determine where they need to go. And the receptionist in the front is now registration temporarily. Again, this is only maybe 4 more weeks. And then on top of that, they said, well, we want to start doing sewer work on the south side of your building to get ready for your next expansion. So they closed down that road, you know, for Dr. Foad and Dr. Yeager and Kalaya. So we said, okay, so everybody's routed through the main entrance now. And so we just decided, our admin team, let's just pitch in and do some 2-hour stints. So mine's this afternoon. And we get to see patients come in the door, though. And some of them we recognize, but with 58,000 people or 60,000 a year, there's a lot that I don't recognize.
Interesting. In the second half, we're going to go a little bit into the expansion that is going to be coming up. But just briefly, the past expansion, still relatively recent.
Yeah, new.
Talk about that.
Yeah, that kind of morphed into, once we did the orthopedic surgery center, then all of a sudden you realize that, well, we need to add 8 more surgical rooms because after they do surgery, they need to stay overnight, you know. And so we modernized those. Our lab more than tripled in size. Our radiology department more than doubled in size. And plus, we still added those 6 emergency bays, brand new, and they're state of the art. You know, they're clean. They're glass, so there's privacy. You know, so everything we wanted.
Amazing. Coming up will be a check of our weather.
Is that vent blowing out cold air? This is the last thing I need. Between the dryer, the car battery, and that vet bill for Roscoe last week, I'll be broke before the grass turns green. At least I know exactly who to call when I need the furnace fixed right with fast service and an affordable rate. Air Control Inc. in Clinton, Iowa, serving the community for over 60 years.
Day or night, hot or cold, call Air Control, your affordable comfort solution.
It's Time now on KROS for the Storm Track 8 weather forecast, brought to you by Awesome Car Wash.
A weather impact alert continues for this morning. Dense fog and some heavy downpours will be likely. Then drying out for the afternoon and skies clearing. We'll see highs in the mid-40s today. For tonight, skies go mostly clear again and lows will drop to the chilly mid-20s. With your Storm Track 8 weather impact forecast, I'm meteorologist Andrew Stutzky.
Currently we have rain, a temperature of 39 degrees. Winds are out of the northeast at 15 miles an hour. This weather report on KROS has been brought to you by Awesome Car Wash.
Introducing the ultimate car care experience, Awesome Car Wash. Your touchless automatic car wash open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Say goodbye to dirt and grime. Their state-of-the-art system provides a touchless wash that's gentle yet effective. Include a ceramic sealant coating for long-lasting protection that keeps your vehicle looking awesome longer. Conveniently located across from Purina on Manufacturing Drive in Clinton, Awesome Car Wash. Drive in today and experience the difference.
Act fast. It's an extreme internet deal. Low prices, high speeds, and big bonuses. Switch now and get fast, reliable internet for less than $1 a day for 1 year. Plus advanced Wi-Fi free for a year. A free Zumo Streambox for all your entertainment needs. And ask how you can get a $100 Amazon.com gift card. We're going big. Hurry. Call 844-4FASTER to save. Or visit extreme.com for details.
Again, on Wednesday, visiting now with Mick Welding of Morrison Community Hospital, another expansion. So have things actually started on the expansion, Mick?
Well, Gary, it was hurry up and wait. We did a groundbreaking on a day that was really cold, so we just had to put some dirt on top of the frozen tundra. And so instead of doing broken shovels, we broke ground. And so we did that. Well, then we're just kind of holding off right now, waiting for a ComEd to bury some lines. And they're doing some sewer work, as I mentioned, on that road, so all the preliminary stuff is being done. And then we'll get to going, start digging and moving some dirt.
I did ask you during the break, with all this expansion, do you have the space, the land available to you?
We do. We have a provision in place. We own some property around us, and I guess it could happen, should we need. But part of this expansion here, there's actually a third floor that's going to be added that right now doesn't have any designation. And we're kind of holding off, seeing what we can use that 20,000 square foot for.
So the original Morrison Community Hospital, how much of that is still being used?
It's funny because our offices are in the original part of the hospital, and that was old boiler heat, window air conditioning. And thank goodness that was all remedied last year. So we now have offices with connected into the heating system and the air conditioning system with the rest of the hospital. But below that is the kitchen, and that is still part of the original part of the hospital. And it was just a small piece, facing south toward Knox Street. And that's about it, but they delivered babies there, you name it. So they made it happen.
That is interesting. Let's talk about this expansion, the Family Care Clinic.
Yeah, we have a family care clinic now, of course, and that is our walk-in clinic. And also we have a number of doctors that can also see patients, regularly. But that's going to expand because when I mentioned to you that we've been hiring all of these doctors, there's also offices in there. And right now, these guys have been very generous to share offices with other people. And this is going to give us a little bit more room where we can just give us some space to stretch out a little bit. Plus, what I really like about it is we're building a separate pediatric waiting room. So a waiting room, if a mom comes in, or dad, with some kids, they'll have a space just to be able to, interact with themselves and kind of be separated from people that may have some more serious sicknesses, those types of things. But they've got their dedicated space, and I think that's a key piece.
You know, I've got a son-in-law who is an architect, and who are you dealing with as far as this?
This is Farnsworth Group out of Bloomington area. So they did our last expansion design, and they've been wonderful to work with. And so they also drew the plans for this one as well. And I think it's a good relationship.
And it seems like each architect firm has their own kind of niche. My son-in-law did the new fireplace down in Davenport, number 3 there.
Yeah.
So he's kind of along the lines of, you know, doing firehouses and different things like that. So these people obviously know what they're doing.
Oh, Dave, our guy, he's designed these for many years, you know, and he can go to bat with the city in case you run into any obstacles, you know, with some you know, surveying and he's been a really good guy to work with, and his team around him is excellent.
What has been the feeling among those in the community about what is taking place with their hospital?
Well, I hear when I get around in the Rotary clubs, and last night we were at a chamber event in Morrison, and we had people coming up just complimenting us on the growth. In fact, I was interviewed at a radio station in Erie, and with Aaron, and he's their station manager, and he called and he said, I remember when we did the last groundbreaking on September 11th of 2019, I was taking the tent back to down to the rental place where we had it, and I was listening to their radio station on the way back, and he said, hey, Morrison just did a groundbreaking, and he goes, you know, 10 years ago, that hospital just, he said a different word, but it stunk, you know, and he goes, now they got it going on. And he says, I remember saying that. And he goes, I was serious, because when I drive by that place, I am so impressed. Just so happens his wife works with us, but 5 kids, you know, they've been in our hospital. They've experienced it. But, you know, just to see the services that we're able to provide, and talk to people on the street saying, hey, I just had my little guy in, you know, to your ER, and thank you for helping him.
So that is great. Well, you want to keep people alive.
Yeah, we do. I know what this is leading up to.
And that's the song you decided to go with, right?
Well, my wife and I, back in college at Iowa State when we met, we won a contest dancing at a disco in Ames, Iowa, at Iowa State. So I decided to pick a disco song, but it also kind of correlates with keeping people alive at the hospital.
Things. You came to Clinton,
yeah,
and the reason you chose Clinton.
Yeah. It was halfway between Dubuque, where my wife was from, that I met at Iowa State, and my hometown. And that was how we landed in Clinton. I had never been to Clinton, Iowa before.
And you were with Nielsen Clearinghouse.
Yeah, that's who hired me.
When they were going great guns.
Yeah, gosh. Yeah, I was telling Gary in 1984, when I was the chairman of the picnic, we had 984 employees and had our picnic at the baseball diamond because we had so many people.
That is incredible. What was it like working in that building?
Oh, gosh, I had a blast. It couldn't have been any better, but, you know, I joke, though, and I say there's no course at college that teaches you the ins and outs of supervising 90 women. And there were things that happened that I never had any class, no training. So you had to kind of, you know, work on the fly, you know, and just figure out how you dissect, you know, certain things that happen with mostly females, you know. So, but it was a good learning experience for a 19-year-old kid out of college, you know, or 20 or whatever I was, and it worked.
And you said you worked hand in hand with Julie Allisey.
She's still one of my best buddies, you know. She used to call me Sonny, you know, and I called her Mom, but or Jules, and but we've kept in touch, you know, for the last several years, even after I shut the lights off down at Nielsen, the Dodge building on Friday the 13th of July, 1990, and so that's when I left, and we've been in contact ever since.
Well, you certainly have landed on your feet. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. So
if people would like to find out more information about Morrison Community Hospital, Mick, how can they do that?
Probably the best thing to do would be to go, our website's a work in progress. We keep developing this and adding this, but it's morrisonhospital.com. And or you could talk to your neighbor. I got to tell you that with all the people coming in, somebody that you know has been to our hospital, and just ask them, what was your experience? And I guarantee it's going to be a good one.
Mick, thanks so much.
Thanks, Gary.
9 out of 10 individuals who struggle with nicotine, alcohol, or other drug addictions started using these substances before turning 18. Young people who regularly receive information about the dangers of drugs and alcohol from their parents are up to 50% less likely to engage in substance use compared to those who don't receive such guidance. As a parent, you hold the greatest influence over your child's choices. Start the conversation early and keep it going. Talk. We hear you. This message is brought to you by the Gateway Impact Coalition.
Hi, I'm Shauna from Sweetheart Bakery. February is cherry month, and if you like cherries, you will love what Sweetheart Bakery is baking. We have cherry donuts, cherry turnovers, cherry dips, cherry pies, and